The Bulk Truth Live. Roy Schulte, he's our star.
Thanks a lot,
Welcome.
Steve. Yep. How are you?
I'm good. You know, of the folks that I help produce shows like yours, you're the one that's more mobile. You've impressed me with your studio just follows you wherever you go. Today you're in Nevada.
El Reno, Oklahoma at the moment, heading
Oh,
to Nevada, Iowa.
I was thinking El Reno, Nevada. Is there an El Reno or is it just Reno?
Reno. Yeah.
All right, coming to you
Not
live.
not that glamorous. I'm not quite that glamorous today. On I-40.
So today's topic is the flow signature. So one of the advantages of using CADARO is that you can see your process issues before they become or create downtime because your equipment's stopping and starting. Um, Tell us about a scenario. What prompted you to uh, pick this topic today, Royce?
So I think we've talked in the past about CADARO sensors. As you see a display or the data live on a monitor, it's like an EKG or a material EKG, and so you get into a certain signature, rhythm, pulse, and as you have applications in plants, I mean that they just become accustomed to how it should look on the monitor, and what normal looks like. And so what we're continuing to find is once we create visibility, then all of a sudden people become aware of maybe things that are occurring that before uh, they just there was no way to know. And so you get to the end of the month or end of the week, you know, you had an average, you had an output number, but how you got there and how it changed from minute to minute or hour to hour, you really never could see without this type of technology.
Some of the advantages of implementing artificial intelligence workflows, automations are you start to collect data that was out there but invisible, and then you start to be able to get your arms around and make better business decisions. And that's the same scenario in this case.
That's that is correct.
You think of a plant that's been operating for years reasonably well. They're doing their job, and then all of a sudden they get these insights. The upsides are impressive, and in particular for your operations team or your maintenance team, not just your C-suite, et cetera.
Sure. And what we're starting to see is, I mean, plants have a fair amount of data. So this combined with other operational data, they may be tracking rotary valves, they may be tracking amps. There's a lot of information there that when these come together, and now with the advancements of AI, you can run reports and almost day to day, you can drop, the previous day's report in, and it gives you an overview of, how things were operating relative to what's the norm. And you start identifying potentially trends or outliers.
Yeah, your term here is silent disruptions. This is kind of an invisible tax, an invisible expense that you're paying for, but using this way to reveal it and to get insight in it, you can improve and save downtime, save expenses, save repairs. What other areas are we improving?
Um, I think I mean, you look at general maintenance, you look at productivity. I do like this visual where you see the real time process visibility. I mean, it's really putting an X-ray over the pipe and what's happening at any given moment or what's happening over time. And with a lot of these DCS systems where they can pull the data in and they can look at snapshots over a longer period of time, shorter period of time, they can really drill in. And I'm still learning more about those processes, but the visibility is crucial to as far as planning and also knowing what possibly to be looking for.
Some of these terms in here we haven't really discussed, or some these are technical terms, I guess, or jargon: bridging, plugging, feeder drift, surging. We're able to address these.
Yeah, what happens is you start seeing those develop and start seeing typically you're going to see it in the flow or on the output side. And so, and generally it starts and it may be very gradual and may be instant. We've had cases where we're coming off a bucket elevator and one of the buckets came off, and so it may be in the bin. So you can start seeing, wait a second, our flow rates have dropped down. Everything else is the same. Maybe somebody needs to go out and empty the bin and remove, there's some type of obstruction. So that's just a single example, but I think people in processing have experienced those things over time. And again, this is just showing them, like having a magnifying glass, showing them something that's happening inside that is not really visible without this type of data and information.
The operations teams, they might be able to feel when something's off because they've been doing the job for so long. They can kind of get they feel the. I rode a Harley for a long time, and you connect with the engine, you kind of get the rhythm, and I can relate that these operators, they're kind of that way. But on the day off, or if they take a vacation, the new person comes in, they're not connected in the same way, and this resolves that.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. In today's world, I mean, it's more common that it's information, it's data. They set alarms. They when it's outside of a certain parameter, usually it's flashing an alert, an alarm to let you know something's changed, something's different. Maybe you need to look at, go and inspect or go deeper into what may be occurring.
So a lot of these plants, they have certain processes in place. They've got certain data collection. The CADARO and the sensor, your flow sensor, it is able to integrate with existing systems.
Correct. Yeah. So the integration in is pretty important. So where they already have some level of data integrations, automation, the CADARO comes into that seamlessly. And so it's just an additional view as far as what's occurring in the plant. And so it's just added to the monitor, typically at an operator station, to where it's just more data, more information to help create good decisions and be proactive.
And it's augmenting some existing, I guess, a picture or story that's going on in plant, and now all of a sudden you're getting real-time data. I think that's a key point that needs to be emphasized. This is real-time process visibility.
It is. I mean, and we continue to learn. I mean, the insights that we're gaining, it's been very valuable to meet with customers and be working with customers and seeing how they've done things traditionally. And they have a lot of confidence as far as, what they've used for tools and how consistent that was and how, how that fit in their operations. But now, as we implement the CADARO flow sensors, the visibility and you mentioned the real time, but seeing things on a 5-minute cycle or 10-minute cycle, it's just so much faster to see things occur, and also to see how things change just through a 24-hour cycle, as the operators are at a station and possibly making adjustments on equipment for a lot of different reasons. To the times that maybe in the evening shifts. I mean, it may be more in a cruise control mode, right? They try to minimize the interactions and they definitely don't want downtime, right, during those shifts. So they make, they operate it possibly in a different manner. And so again, the CADARO system really starts highlighting when those things are occurring. And again, it's information, it's data, it's information. How, what or how do we utilize that to improve the overall performance and results?
I see that, you're moving a team from a reactive stance to a proactive stance as well. Talk to us about that. What are some examples you might share with us?
Yeah, so I think the things we were just describing a second ago, it's, some of it could be instant, but for a moment, it's probably going to be working through the culture of what's been done, how it's been done, to what's going to be better or best for the future. And so you've highlighted, as you get visibility, as you get this information, now you can potentially become proactive. But it's really moving from the past to the future, and doing it in a way that really builds confidence within the plan and the operators. it doesn't come without its challenges. People that have a lot of experience and are very good at what they do, and then as we look at what it's going to take for the future to operate plants with more automation, more AI, more machine learning, and how we utilize tools like what Cadaro's providing as part of that overall process.
Has there been an implementation that's kind of surprised you that they're doing something with um, this implementation that you didn't expect?
So again, I think what's surprising is the confidence of how people have been doing it, and obviously they buy the technology and they're looking for greater accuracy, more insights, um, and so it's bridge where they potentially can go. And so that's probably the biggest surprise is how to do that effectively, right? And respecting people's experiences and knowledge, but also helping them really stretch what the opportunities could be for the future, and it might be a little bit different.
So you have several different applications you have to do this. You talk to us about each of those.
Yeah. So as far as styles, whether it be in a vertical application or an incline application, we have our Veracity series for vertical applications. They've got come in a round configuration, or more recently, we launched the Veracity Diamond series, which are very low profile, go from 4x4 inlets flanges all the way up to 18x18, but in 2-inch increments. So technically, we can measure from 20 pounds all the way up to 50,000 pounds. And then for incline applications or incline shoots, we have our integral series, and those again go anywhere from generally on the low side 2,000 pound flow rates all the way up to 50,000. So pretty broad, same technology. What we're normally doing is looking at the plant, looking at the clearances, uh, trying to understand the chutes and the pipes as far as the sizes, and minimize the amount of work to install one of our flow sensors. We've had applications that were as fast as 30 minutes. So if we can know what flanges we're mating to close to a transition, many times we can bolt the sensor directly there. In some cases, we need to create an outlet transition, but the goal is to fit it into tight spaces, and that's what we find in all these facilities. Every time we feel like we've built a small one, there's always an opportunity to go even smaller, right, and tighter. And we're continuing to work and evolve the product to fit those applications.
So no major retrofit, no downtime for months or weeks, or no planning. That's data that you're collecting can be rolled up immediately into their system and then bubble up to other folks that could take advantage of it other than just the operators, right?
Sure. Yeah. So the information can be integrated quickly. And then as far as reporting and access, obviously different roles need different information, but probably the most important is they're all centered around a single truth, right? There's a number that they can build confidence in, and then they're not operating off of different sets of numbers till the end of the month or until a true up, and that generally just centering the whole team on performance is a large step forwards.
So delivering clarity, delivering confidence, delivering data so that they can be proactive instead of reactive. And then let's talk about how we pay for this. What are your options there?
Yeah, so traditionally, a lot of companies like to capex, and so they want to purchase it outright. So we have an option so they can outright purchase the sensors, then the technology as far as perpetual use license. We have other applications that for the fastest ROI, fastest payback, we have what we offer, what we call CADARO Complete. So it's a subscription. CADARO owns everything. They just use it year to year. So both of them tend to fit very well depending on if you're OpEx or CapEx. And in some cases where there's applications and they're skeptical as far as how it's going to work, we've had customers take advantage of the CADARO Complete with the option to convert that to an owned unit by the end of the year. And so it gives them a chance to really look at what the return on investment would be for them and build their own CapEx numbers to get approval and execute it that way.
So this is a solution that a lot of people didn't know that they could expect or implement. So let's say someone's listening and they want to talk to you to see what this might look like in their situation. What do you recommend?
I think going to the website is a good place to start. CADARO.com. There's a link in there just to schedule a site review, which you have an opportunity to see our calendar and when we're available and fit it to your own. And very fast, we get more people going that route. We'll have a brief Teams call, talk more about what they're trying to accomplish in their site, and that really kicks things off to see how CADARO may be able to help.
Automation happening in all the other areas of your business, and now CADARO offers a way to do that with your plant, your operations. You get data, you get clarity, you get you get confidence. All right, Royce, any last thing before we take it out?
No, thanks for the time. Look forward to somebody reaching out, using that special QR code that you always point out.
Yeah, that sexy QR code. Scan it with your camera. It'll take you to the right place. You might even catch Royce as he travels across the country. You're all over the place. You got a lot of interest and a lot of folks signing up, implementing these. Might as well be your location, whoever's listening. All right. We'll see you next week on another episode of The Bulk Truth. That's a wrap.
Thanks, Steve.
Thank you, Royce.